Robbie Lawler versus Nate Diaz. Take two. We got Robbie Lawler coming in at 28-15 and is the minus 110 favorite. And then we got Nick Diaz coming in at 26-9 and is the minus 110 underdog. First, you got Robbie Lawler, who's coming in is a knockout artist who is known for his aggressive style. He has a background in boxing, taekwondo, and karate, and throws power shots. He likes to dictate the pace and walk down his opponents, and he has underrated wrestling and very good takedown defense. He tends to take on too much damage so he can dish it back. He has good cardio, pace, and throws looping shots. Then you got Nick Diaz, who's a boxer and grappler who fights as a southpaw. He constantly is pressuring the opponent and tries to catch them off guard. He tends to take too much damage in fights. He likes to throw a jab and is good on the ground. He has a great chin and is tough as nails. What do you think of this fight, and who do you have winning?
Well, first, I think this is 8 years too late. You know what I mean? These guys met 17 years ago at UFC 47 with Nick getting the win, second round win. It's a tale of two different fighters at this point, but with some similarities. Robbie hasn't won a fight in 4 years, but when you look at the caliber of fighters that he's been fighting recently, they're all top 5 contenders. Dos Anjos, Colby Covington, you've got Neil Magny, you've got Ben Askren. Like he's fighting contenders, right? Nick Diaz hasn't done anything in 6 years. So like the big question here, and I hate that it has to do this because we talk about it in sports a lot, is ring rust, right? Dude hasn't fought in 6 years, but if you look on his social media, Nick Diaz has been training. He's been in the gym for forever, right? And we know that the Diaz brothers are durable. We know that their gas tanks are good. We know that their chin's good. And we know that at a drop of a dime, they're going to throw hands, right?
Yeah.
The skill doesn't leave the body, like just because you haven't been there. But I'm very curious to see which Nick Diaz we get, because Robbie Lawler, although he hasn't won since 2017, he still has that power. You know what I mean? He's a little slower, right? His striking defense is a little lower than it was 5 years ago, but he still has that knockout power. We saw it with Ben Askren, and by the grace of God, he was able to survive that. I'm looking forward to this fight because I don't remember the last time I saw a Nick Diaz fight, and I never thought in a million years you and I would be breaking down a Nick Diaz new fight. And to the point that, like, even you said you were like Nate Diaz at one point, and as I'm typing the notes and like I'm looking up like previous fights, I'm typing in Nate Diaz because I'm so used to him fighting. But this is a good one. I'm going with Robbie, honestly. I think he's just been more active. He's actually been in fights for the past 6 years where Nick's essentially just coming off the couch. Nick is one of the greatest strikers in mixed martial arts history. He'll always go down as one of my favorites, but I don't think he gets to win this one. It's going to be an entertaining fight, hell of a fight. I think it's just 8 years too late. So I'm going Robbie Lawler, sorry, by decision. Long-winded decision right there.
Yeah, we got a guy coming in, like you said, it's coming in 6 years removed from his last fight. You don't know what to expect from him.
Yeah.
You can kind of think of how he's going to be because him and his brother are so similar with their styles, of course. It's just that Nate Diaz is more of a trash talker than Nick is more focused on the fight, and then he like just calls things out during the fight. But he has said in interviews that he's kind of done with that. He's more about just fighting and then training the younger talent now. So I'd be interested to see how he actually is come Saturday with his demeanor and everything. But he's going to be more of the guy that kind of like steps back and then allows Robbie to come forward. And I think that's going to be a bad move because Robbie Lawler is the type of guy that pressures forward, moves. And that's how he gets those looping shots going. Is his pressure. Is the pressure. And if you look back at the fights that he lost, most of them are against wrestlers, like I said, Askren, you had Colby Covington, even Neil Magny. It has a little bit of grappling with them, and he's not going to have
Dos Anjos.
Dos Anjos. He's not going to have to worry about that too much with Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz he's a grappler, but he's more so doing that in the clinch or when they're already down. So I have a feeling that Robbie Lawler is going to pressure forward, throw shots, get the volume up, because when it comes to volume, he's the better guy. He puts out more volume. And Nick Diaz can trade, but there's a big difference between coming back a year and a half later and coming back 6 years later.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to benefit Robbie Lawler, especially with his style. And I wanted to go knockout, but because I know the Diaz brothers have like the best chins ever, that they take so much damage, I'm gonna go with Robbie Lawler by unanimous decision. To me, it's not even gonna be close unless somehow Nick Diaz can win by submission. I feel like he can win by a guillotine if he catches Robbie Lawler coming in with the takedown, and then he just kind of locks it in, because Robbie Lawler would be prone to that at this age. But with me, I got Robbie Lawler by unanimous decision.
Yeah, it's interesting, man, that we both went decision, right? Because both of these guys are have great chins, right?
Yes.
Like they're up there with like Kelvin Gastelum chins. You know what I mean? Like he should be like an honorary Diaz brother because of how good his chin is. But like the thing that kind of troubles me about this fight, and I was thinking knockout too, 5 rounds for guys up in age, right? Robbie hasn't fought a 5-round fight in quite some time.
No.
Nick obviously hasn't fought a 5-round fight in quite some time, but they're both like average fight times are well over 10 minutes. So, they do go deeper into rounds. Robbie, they both been to wars. You know what I'm saying? The one point that you said with not Neil Magny, he's not fighting this fight, with Nick Diaz, is that he's training the younger talent, right? And there's a difference. So you said a difference between fighting 1 year off the couch versus 6 years off the couch. There's also a difference between taking punches and kicks in sparring and taking punches and kicks in fights. You know what I mean? And that might seem very obvious because it is, but Robbie's been fighting consistently. So he's been taking actual damage, where Nick is sparring with people and training people. So he's getting his reps in, but not at full power. I guarantee all his workouts aren't at full power when he's training these younger talents. So that's the big what if. And like at some point, I don't think ring rust exists. But then like I see Dominic Cruz come in, and I'm like, maybe there is a little ring rust. And then you see TJ Dillashaw where there really isn't. So I'm curious to see where this goes. I'm excited to see Nick Diaz fight. Again, I don't remember the last time I saw him fight. But yeah, I'm still riding with Robbie Lawler. I think this is going to be a bloodbath. I think they both cut very easily, so I expect a lot of blood to be in this one.
And one note to just point out before we get moving on to the co-main event is Robbie Lawler did do a 5-round fight 2 years ago in his fight against Colby Covington, because it was for the interim title at that time. So he did last the whole fight. He got outstruck a lot and he got beaten down, but he did last the whole fight and he kept on going. So that's a good note to do, because he has that under his belt in the last 2 years, whereas it's been over 6 or 7 since we can say Nick Diaz has done a 5-round fight. Hell, a 3-round fight. So it's hard. It's hard for me to go Nick Diaz, so that's why I went Robbie Lawler.
Are you excited to see Nick Diaz fight?
I am, because if he's anything still like Nate Diaz is, it's always going to be a good show. Even if you're losing, you're going to get that one chance where he can have a shot to win, whether it's a knockout or submission.
Do you think that this could be like the last fight for one of these two guys? Like we're seeing more guys retire, right? Carlos Condit just retired. Joseph Benavidez just retired. Do you think that this might be like a farewell fight for one of these guys, or maybe even both of these guys, seeing how like this is a rematch?
Yeah, most definitely, with how old these guys are and how much damage they have taken. I think if it's not the last for both, maybe it's one of the last, but they're definitely up there
Yeah.
I think the one reason Nick Diaz came back was because it's like this legendary fight against Robbie Lawler from 20 years ago
Yeah.
that they're trying to bring back some magic from, and it's not going to be the same, but I think that it's going to be a good fight. It's going to surprise people.
Yeah, the one rematch I want for Robbie Lawler is Rory McDonald. Like, I want to see another one of those.
Yeah.
Obviously, Rory's in PFL, but one day, man, I'd like to see that. And who knows, maybe we see Anderson Silva, Nick Diaz boxing in the future.
I don't think it will happen now because McDonald and Lawler train together now.
Oh,
So,
yeah. So they fight all the time.
yeah. So they actually train with each other. So I don't think it happens, but hey, it brings back memories of those two fighting in that epic encounter.
A boy
But
can dream.
yep. Moving on to the co-main